Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern. Join me as I invite experts and friends to discuss a range of topics, from the factual and practical to the mystical and magical. Consider this your virtual happy hour filled with lively, authentic, and meaningful conversations meant to inform, inspire, and ignite your curiosity. Whether you are very real or super woo, this podcast is just for you. Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern, and today I have one of my friends, Gregory Zarian. And I'm so excited about this because we've been trying to schedule this for quite a while, but between you and me, you're busy. so, so
You're a mother, and then of course we know Doc keeps you busy, and then family. So yeah, and in my defense, as you love your twins, we are your other set of favorite twins because we met on the beach in Maui.
I was
And
going to get to that.
you really wanted to do a twin thing with my twin, and I just went, no, you're going to have me on your own.
Yeah, well, that is such an identical twin statement. And of course, I treat you each as individuals and together as a corporation. And so at some point, I will get you together and I will have my time with LZ. But I'm glad I got to start with GZ. So Gregory Zarian is an Emmy-nominated actor, as you can see if you're watching with us. He's a model, super gorge, and a huge supporter of 12-step programs. And among other things, he's best known for his role as Reed Phillips in Westworld. So people might know you from that. That was fun. And you're currently on Venice the Series, and that is your award-winning show. And I did not know this till I was doing a little recon on you, that you're actually playing twins. And that cracks me up because pretty much if you're playing twins and you have a twin, now you're triplets.
That's actually true. Yes, I actually agree with you. That's true.
Because now my question is, since you're playing twins,
Yes.
do you get to sort of work out some sort of Gregory and Lawrence scenarios for the positive in terms of like repairing some things that may have occurred, and the positive of having some experiences that you dream about, but you can't just do little logistics or whatever. So you get to do this whole twin role play thing, but then is it confusing sometimes to show up as yourself?
Yes, yes, a little bit, and yes. Yeah, and I'm sure being the mother of twins, they can impersonate each other or pretend to be each other like that.
They don't do that so much.
We, and maybe we do because we're in the business, and maybe
Yeah.
there's more of a swapping in and out of each other's personas, if that makes sense.
hmm Well, you
If,
do cross cover. I mean, because you're both on TV, you're both in film. You're on the commercial. I always text you like, I saw you on the commercial. You're the Greenhouse twins. But what's funny is if I close my eyes with you guys, your voices are very similar, and my twins' voices aren't as similar as I find yours with Lawrence.
yeah, ours are very similar. What's fascinating is when Venice the Series, multi-Emmy award-winning streaming drama. It's been around for over 10 years, created by Crystal Chappelle.
I love her from so
She
many
did
soap opera.
Life to Live, Guiding Light. She
Yeah.
played the Carly Manning on Days. I used to be on Days.
I
That
know. I grew up on
yes.
Days and Young and the Restless, and there's people on Venice I recognize from my childhood and teenage
She,
years, and.
that was part of her devious plan.
Yeah.
He was on One Life to Live and Guiding Light, and she was working opposite Jessica Lucia. And they were the first female couple that really hit it out of the park on daytime TV.
Mhm.
And at the time when the shows were on and their storyline was pretty profound and airing, two women had not kissed yet on daytime TV.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the shows were canceled, and Crystal went, wait a minute, I want to continue this storyline. Because at the time, it wasn't even streaming, it was a digital drama over 10 years ago. I can do this on the internet. So she became one of the first women to take the idea of a soap opera, put it onto our little screens here, and now everything is streaming. But they could say that they could cuss, they could have intimate scenes, like now it's sex scenes, but intimate scenes all on your computer. And then it has now just been gangbusters all over the world. It's won a handful of Emmys. I've been on for 3 seasons. I met her at Nadia Bjorlund's wedding. She was my soap opera crush.
Oh, mine too. She's beautiful.
Like, hi, can we kiss? And brought me in for the first season and then said, wait a minute, here's a nice soap opera twist. We want you to play the twin. And so I now play Nick and Nate Kander. And it's so funny because I had played twins. I looked at my Emmy nomination thing and I'm like, oh, yes, I was nominated for an Emmy for Nate. And here's what I loved and I'm grateful for. She dove into my character being bullied as a gay character. And Lawrence and I were bullied as twins and kids, and I think bullying happens every second of every day to everyone. And she really took that far. And one of the scenes where I talk about being bullied was nominated for an Emmy. She's fearless, she's creative. And back to your initial question or comment, in my mind, I just thought I'm going to be Gregory for one and Lawrence for another. And well, no, what I did, Lauri, is I took the best of both and I played with both. And it's a great show. It's on Vimeo. It's about life. It's just, I always say it's a love story and it happens to be about two women.
Mhm. Well,
And
and men. I mean, I know your character has several story arcs to it too, but I love how, just sort of hopping off Venice for a second, the idea, at least in my upbringing, I'm sure yours because we're the same age, soap operas were the one place they could get away with some cutting edge things. It was on daytime, first of all. It wasn't like prime time. But like all the crazy storylines, like Marlena getting possessed on Days of Our Lives or whatever, love stories between men, women, whatever, they really did pave the way prior to streaming, where you could cuss and get away with much more. But I really love how I feel like soap operas gave so many people their acting chops, their big chance, and the way to express and experience these storylines that a lot of us were already living, but no one talked about on regular TV at night.
forever ago, there was Luke and Laura, and the character of Laura, played by Jeannie Francis, raped.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
And then
There,
she married him anyway. Like,
if you look at what was happening then and look at what's happening now, something is happening every day in our lives.
mhm.
If somebody talked about what's happening in the world 5 years ago and now we're going through, we're like, oh, it's happening now. And what I think is beautiful about the freedom of any outlet that tells a story, but specifically since we're talking about daytime, somebody can look and go, oh, I relate to that. The scene of where I'm talking about being bullied, more people reached out to me that said, because of what you did, and what was great is it was during COVID.
Mm.
So everybody was living on their computer. And my platform was about bullying, was talking about, if you were someone you love as being bullied, go to, bullying.gov and reach out and you're not alone. And what you can do is more people reached out to me at that moment to say, thank you for bringing awareness to bullying. I may play a gay character that's being bullied, but there's now a few avenues that people can go to. Oh, thank you for bringing awareness to that. Thank you. I too am a twin that is gay and bullied, and I too have this. And my mom was an alcoholic. My dad did all these things. And, you said something that I appreciate the most is talk about it.
Yeah.
People don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and the bullying, I feel like we're so focused, understandably, and we're going to get to your other work too that you do for the world, which is amazing. But we so focus on kids because of course they're the most vulnerable and we need to pay attention, but adults get bullied too. And at some point we are supposed to grow up, put up and shut up. Fuck no. Like, we need to talk about it because you know what? Everything triggers what is not healed. And you and I have talked about this. And so what I love about your ability to play characters like this is you fortunately and unfortunately trigger upset that creates meaningful and profound change, hopefully, whether you are the bully and now you can see the damage that you're doing, so you make changes, or you are the victim and now you're getting a voice. And well, let's just talk about it now because I know through this role, you have now become an ambassador for the freetolove.org.
Yeah.
So, do you want to just talk about that? Because I was going to get to that, but we're talking about it now.
And since you and I go like this and we bring it home, yeah, Free to Love was created by a girl I've known since I was a kid. Her name's Tanya Sandus. And she's married. She has kids. And she really just at one point wanted to change the way we all look at bullying and give people that are being bullied, especially the LGBTQ community, a place to go. Most people that are being bullied, we've read online, we've heard news stories about a young girl that was being bullied by her friends and committed suicide. I just saw something a few weeks ago about a young girl that was beaten to death, like she was bullied. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. At the time that I was being bullied when I was a kid, I was too afraid to discuss it. And what I am proud to have done with Free to Love is I love that she really focuses on LGBTQ plus. We've integrated any kid being bullied.
Mhm.
Any kid that I just saw my nephews a few nights ago and I said, guys, when you're at school and there's someone sitting by themselves and they just seem like maybe they're a little bit different or that they've been bullied, stand up for them. Go say hi to them. And they say, Uncle Gregory and Uncle Lawrence, we do because of what you said to us years ago. I mean, Laura, you know this. Being the mother of twins, it's different than just having a kid. We are different, we are treated differently, we are looked at differently. In the SAG guidebook, we're under the same category as clowns.
Twins?
We are circus players. It's a novelty act.
Are
So
you kidding?
I was on a show years ago, and an agent said to me, you could have gotten double the money because twins are considered a novelty act. When you talked about the commercial, we were hired independently, but we were booked as twins. So it's considered a different category. It's
Just
true.
the word novelty act, first of all, twins is not an act. Second of all, you're
It's
unique.
better.
You're
It's a,
unique. And it is
yes.
novel. But the way they group you with clown, you're not a clown, you're a human being, so are clowns, but they scare the shit
Well,
out of me. But wow, SAG needs to catch up.
well, let me say this. It's considered a novelty. It's under twins, triplets, quadruplets. It is listed specialty acts. It's a
Okay.
specialty.
Oh,
And it's
that's
not hitting it because at the time SAG was created in the 40s, I think 40s. They had to find a place for everybody to fit into a certain category. I'm on something called Actors Access Casting Frontier. There was a page dedicated to Gregory Zarian. There is a separate page through my teams, LA in New York and commercially, just for Lawrence and I. It's not just enough to say he's a twin, but there is a specific page, a specific link, a specific heading for Lawrence and I, because it makes it easier in regards to the business. And listen, being a twin, novelty act me all you want,
mm.
because I think to work with Lawrence, we then get to do something. And it's also a specialty act. It really is.
Well, I like the specialty versus the novelty. Like when you first said novelty, the reason I got so irate because you grouped it with clowns, and I was just like, that to me is like a circus act, and
Sure.
you're not a circus act. You're legit, really good at your craft, as is your brother, as is anybody else who's a twin, a triplet, a multiple, whatever. But we were touching on the bullying side of it, and I wanted to sort of segue back to there, if you don't mind, because yes, I'm a mother of identical twins and they feel each other's emotions and read each other's minds and can finish each other's sentences. So if one of them is experiencing bullying, it affects the other one, especially, they don't have necessarily the same friend groups. It's like intersecting circles. So that's hard. And then the bystander stuff comes in, like you're addressing with your nephews, which is huge because we do need allies and bystanders to stand up against bullying. And it's hard. It takes a lot of balls and courage to do that and support and education on why we need to do that and how and where to go talk about it. And I was bullied in fourth grade. This one kid got the entire class to gang up on me except for one girl. And from that experience, I always say to my kids, it takes one friend. And then in the work that I do now, I wish I knew what I knew then. Of course, it just takes being a friend to yourself first. And we weren't talking about that when we were growing up. We were always talking about be kind to others as you would to yourself, but we didn't really know what being kind to yourself looked like or felt like or could be like. And so that's really important too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an inside job.
Yeah, for sure.
It starts with what we do inside. I don't it's hard to know that someone is being treated poorly because they're different. I feel that bullying is, someone just wanting attention. Because then I think, what happens at home? What's going on at home? Were your parents bullying to you? Because we're taught what our parents treat us. My parents be nice to everybody, especially our mom. There were people in my mother's life that ended up really, really hurting her, and she was still kind to them.
Hmm.
So I am very much my mother's son. I just, and this is important for me, if someone you love or you are being bullied and it happens online and you are being cyberbullied, block these people, get off your account, call your parents, restrict them, make phone calls, do what you can. Because if you take bullying to such an extreme, I don't believe anybody, when I hear about a young teen girl taking herself out because she was bullied, she wanted the pain to stop, didn't want to hurt anymore. Being sober. There's a lot of people I know, especially recently, that have taken themselves out being sober. And for me, it's they wanted the voices to stop. They didn't have a grasp on anything. And if I can just stop thinking this right now and it ends up them just being gone.
Mm.
Well, there's one, like, what about that one person that can go, I got you? And that's the beautiful thing about for anybody that is watching this or anybody anywhere is, reach out to freetolove.org. Reach out to the Trevor Project. Someone is there 24/7. And so as this young girl was dealing with a horrible addiction problem. I was hosting a show called Healthline. She ended up coming across one of our shows. We were talking about addiction. The counselor, Scott Robertson, and I were talking about how deadly alcohol drugs can be. She found the second episode of our show, reached out to her parents, checked into a rehab facility that was sponsored by the hospital that was putting on the show. From what I know to this day, she's sober.
It's amazing.
You and I were brought up when we had three channels, and then it became five. 11 and 13, I don't know what it is in the
Yeah.
Midwest, and
Right.
you couldn't talk about it. You couldn't talk about, like, even in recovery, people were like, "When did you know you were an alcoholic?" Well, I didn't think I was an alcoholic, I was just drinking.
Mm.
And then there was cocaine, and then there was crystal meth, and there was all of it. And I wanted to be included, I wanted to fit in, and then it became "Oh, but if I'm not doing this, I'm gonna feel that, so let me just," because 'cause we're also so afraid to feel.
Yeah. I just had somebody on my show recently. He is the world's only party coach, and we had this conversation. His whole thing is he's also sober, but just the idea of partying, you just said, I wanted to be included. I wanted to have this persona, I'm the happy guy, I'm the fun guy, whatever. But again, you just said it's an inside job. So if we can all remember we are the party, we bring the party wherever we go, then if you choose to enhance your experience with awareness and boundaries, that's a choice. If you're being driven by those demons, obviously, then you need help. And anyone out there, will link everything in the show notes and please get professional medical help for medical issues. But you touched on the Trevor Project. And so I didn't know if there was anything more you wanted to say about that. And then you've also got your involvement with Project Angel Food. And there's a quote that I found of yours that I love, and I don't know if you know this, that you said this, but you said, "I believe that we are our most humble when we're helping those around us." And to be humble in an industry in which you are fully dug in is huge. And so I love that you connect with that part of yourself to give back.
Trevor Project, Free to Love, and there are local ones all over the country. They are big ones here in the US, and they are based out of LA, LA, New York. If you or someone you love is struggling with your sexuality, and your identity. Google the Trevor Project, Google Free to Love. Say, I am in trouble. Can you talk to me? Reach out to myself, reach out to Lawrence, because when we were questioning who we were, we had each other, but yet we weren't smart enough to know what we were questioning.
Mm.
You know, I'll speak for myself. I dated women for a very long time. Some of the biggest loves of my life have been women. My mom asked me once about, I said, hey, mom, Michelle, it's really a Michael. And we talked about it. We didn't talk about it the way you talk about things now. And I think the younger generation, there's such a freedom to be the he, she, they, them. There's more of a conversation behind it. Feel what you feel. Your feelings, explore all of it, talk about it. I've led a really full life and I am so proud of it. I said to my mom, I said, Mom, I swam in both pools and I've had a great time. And she said, how could you? And I said, why not? Why not? I'm not hurting anyone. And it's me. We are here. I believe in coming back and coming back. I believe in previous past lives going forward. Why wouldn't I? I want to be curious. I want to know that I did all of this and then I got this. And now, I'm married and happy and it's 10 years and we love each other and it's so great. And people come up to us and say, you're really a great example to couple goals,
Mm.
not two men goals, but couple goals. And John and I'll be like, well, what do you mean? Well, you guys are so kind and fun and you really like each other. And the biggest compliments are when our male female couples say, hey, you know what? We saw that. And oh, we paid attention to that. And wow, you two really talk about everything. And I just went to the HRC gala event, which was phenomenal. And I met this guy and we were chit-chatting and he had met me before and he said, I'm engaged. And I actually just had the same conversation as well with somebody at a modeling job I was doing. And I said, let me just share one thing with you that was really important to me before John and I got married. I had been betrayed for 4 years by my ex. Lies and betrayal and cheating on me with my best friend, going to cheat on me with the ex. And there was such a break for me. I didn't make a promise to John for me. I made a promise to John for us. I said, I will never look you in the eyes with a secret because one withholding. And I mean, listen, you're my marriage goals. I mean, I love you. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and I don't know the ins and outs of your relationship yet. I see you both really like each other and genuinely love each other. And we've talked about your marriage and we've talked about mine, but I just said, don't look your future husband in the eyes with a secret because one withholding turns into two, turns
Mm.
into keeping out and keeping away. And then all of a sudden, is you're lying to the person that you say you love the most. 10 years in, it's not that I didn't give him a gift, but I'm also accountable to me.
Yeah.
What would I be hiding? What would I be holding? Let's talk about it.
Well, I was just having this conversation this morning with a friend of mine, and this comes to me all the time about holding on to anger is like holding on to a hot coal, expecting the other person to get burned. And when you keep secrets, listen, we're not talking about you're going to throw John a surprise party. Like that's a good kind of secret. That's
I did do that, and he
I
did not know.
know.
I was good. I was
I've thrown
good.
Rick a surprise party as well, he didn't know. But, one little, etching away, it's like water dripping against stone, and as we know, water can alter stone. And so
That's a
that's a
beautiful.
beautiful thing that you made that commitment to not be that drip, 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 because it just takes one and then the floodgates can open. I love your relationship with John, and I like him also for who he is outside of being a couple with you. I believe being a mom of twins, I'm very cognizant of treating units as separates along with being a unit, just because you are not the same people just because you're married to somebody. Anyway, so that's just my little take on it. I wanted to talk about That's Amore because I loved that movie and I watched the whole thing. And then I had forgotten that you were on a rendition of Scooby Doo on YouTube. And who doesn't love Scooby Doo? So I want you to go down the road of anything you want to talk about because I wanted to ask you of all the roles you've played kind of questions, like what was your favorite or what was the most challenging or what did you learn the most, which I'm sure you've been asked 1,000 times. But more than that, do you have like a dream job or like a dream co-star that you're manifesting also? So in no particular order, I just want you to talk about your craft. You're more than your craft, but I want to hear from you.
I just want to wrap up one thing, putting a quick pin in that. The internet is an amazing thing. If somebody is struggling in regards to who they are sexually, who they are in regards to addiction, Trevor Project, Free to Love, Google GLAD, the Gay Lesbian Alliance. It's all about talking about supporting the LGBTQ community. HRC is phenomenal. It is Human Rights Coalition. We all have the right to be seen, to be loved, to be heard. Who we love is no one else's business except the person that we're in love with. And I am my mother's son. I really work 24/7 at being of service because at the end of the day, if you do random acts of kindness, I was just working with a model that was new to the business, and I just said, you have a dresser, but hang up your clothes. Hang them up better than when you found them. Ask your dresser what you can do when you leave a TV set and you're getting ready to go back to your trailer or wardrobe and you take your plate. Ask everyone at the table, hey, can I take your plate? Can I get you something? When you leave any job, make your dressing room, your area look better than it did. Say thank you and please. The assistants, the associates, the interns, they are as important as your director, as your online producer, or as your casting director. Acknowledge everyone.
I feel like you're giving people an opportunity to give an acceptance speech at an award show because hopefully when you do that, you're thanking every single person you're just naming, but you're asking people to do it in every moment of their day, and that is wonderful.
The mailman comes up to our house and says, hey, Gregory, how are you? And it's not because we like he gets cookies and water.
You guys are so funny with the cookies. You
But
love
it's
everyone out there. You want to get into Gregory's heart, send him cookies.
in peach scones. Oh my God. I've become a peach and multi-berry scone whore.
I
Um,
love multi-berry scones. Yeah.
it's just about they're just random acts of kindness.
It's you're seeing humans, you're acknowledging the soul.
I carry a handful of quarters every time I walk up and down the street. And if I see someone's meter expired, I put a quarter in there.
Mm.
They will never know. There's a woman I saw at the market, and I think, I broke my leg and I was on a scooter and I was at Trader Joe's and could not walk, could not do anything. And all the younger people were cruising past me. No, nobody was helping me except this couple that was at least 20 years older than me. Husband and wife couldn't have been sweeter. Opened the escalator, got me a scooter in the store, did everything they could for me. And I bought her flowers. And she said, what's that for? And I said, you made my day. And I'm not saying it for anything other than we can all be those people. Open the door for everybody and anybody. Hey, are you well? How are you? How is your day? And in the business, especially now where the business is so different, just be kind, say thank you and please. Human acts of kindness in life at your job is huge. One casting associate will call somebody that she just worked with, will send a mass email out to all the casting directors. Hey, bring in Gregory. He's
Mhm.
kind. He does his job. Thank you and please. And hey, you know what? I saw him pick up somebody else's Coke can. Simple things that we were taught by our parents. Kind, simple things.
Yeah. It's like the Fabergé Organics that I always come back to that, tell two friends and so on and so on. And it really does ripple. Just one random act of kindness ripples out in ways we don't need to know. We just do it to do it. And it does really make a difference just in terms of the vibes going out and around us. So that's wonderful.
We feel good.
Yeah. And feel good doing it. Exactly.
Simply, an addiction, it's a addiction of self-obsession. And when someone I know, or even when I am in self-obsession and struggling, I pick up the phone and I call someone. And I go, how are you? Especially somebody in recovery. How are you? How's your day? What's happening? Gregory, how are you? No, 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 it's about you. 20 minutes later, their possibly shitty day is turned into a better day. I hang up and I was like, look how much better my day is just because I asked somebody how they were. Here's my questions, my answers. That's Amore. I got to do it with one of my dearest friends. My friend Paul worked with an actress friend named Christina Moore. They were hiring him on this Netflix film. He needed to have a gay husband. He invited me into the movie and we did this movie with these amazing people. And to date, it is one of Netflix's top Valentine's Day stories. And what I really appreciate about them, and it was produced by ESX Entertainment, they are doing everything and anything, and they do great love stories. Now they're doing action adventure, and they didn't make a thing about us being a gay couple. They just had Paul and Greg playing this couple that happened to be. And there's some cute little catchphrases that I had lived, we had lived, and people still to this day reach out to us on social media. And like one of my things was I did Olay, and people will send me, and I know exactly what it means. One of my all-time favorite jobs was, every job to me is amazing because I believe you always have a choice, was the series Counterpart. I got
Mm.
to film in Berlin, Germany. I got to shoot in Adolf Hitler's airport in his screening room. Our mom was born in Berlin, so we were brought up very much aware of German Nazi and how different it is, and how people that were German really made an effort in history to say, we are German. We are not part of this regime. And to be part of that series, filmed in Berlin, and also do it alongside Lawrence, we were both on it, a dream come true. To grow up going to Berlin when the wall was up, to film in the city where the wall came down, and to see this country living in reparation and living in the history of what happened, to the history of who they are, and going back to a story, Counterpart, that was based on the Cold War. SAG at its best with amazing actors, and worked with another set of twins, and it was a dream job. I want to do a movie with Lindsay Wagner. She is my everything crush, Jamie
Oh,
Summers.
fabulous
And
woman.
oh my God, I did a movie called 86 Melrose Avenue. It was about
Yeah.
storming into an art gallery, and it dealt with PTSD, it dealt with gun possession, and the director, Lily Mana, shot everything in real time. So you see these people acting as strangers because we were strangers, ending up being held at gunpoint, to all of us literally emotionally breaking because that's how intense it was for 18 hours a day. Dade Elza created this iteration of Scooby Doo. He hired me as Shaggy's dad, Sheriff Sam Rogers. To date, over 5 million views, and was just a breakout YouTube sensation. Because we don't own the rights, Warner Brothers said we cannot continue,
That's sad.
but they're
Very
coming out with
sad.
a version now. Which, hey, Warner Brothers, I can play Shaggy's dad, and I look good in a cop uniform.
You do look good in a copy uniform. You've had several suits on and uniforms on. I did want to go back to your role as Avi. You won an award for that.
Dude.
Yeah, congratulations, because it sounds like an intense and looks like an intense
You know what was great is we
experience.
talked about PTSD, and it's more than just gun control. Going back to the bullying. We all have PTSD of something or someone. And my comment about that is hopefully we get to a place where we realize something traumatic happened, and it doesn't have to define. It contributes to who we are. It doesn't have
Mhm.
to be.
Right. The segment I have on this podcast is "Why Not Me?" Because why not you, right? Everybody goes through something, and in the moment in which you're going through it, you don't look at it as a lesson it may become, hopefully, if we're aware that it will be. But when we look back at those experiences, we can say we learned, we grew. We don't have to love what we went through, but it's our story, and it does not have to become our only story. And that's what I help people try to understand also, is just because this thing happened to you doesn't mean you need to make that your thing forever. It's just part of your fabric.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people are defined by something that happened. I have a family
Exactly.
so defined by the upbringing, and I'm like, but that's what happened.
Of course.
Then
I mean,
you also,
that's,
well,
yeah.
you then embrace and you ask questions, and then, my dad and I had a rough moment in life, and as I was going through my 12 steps, and on the fourth step, it's who, what, where, who it was, what happened, how did you feel, and what your partner is. And I remember saying, well, what was my partner? In tears. And my sponsor said, you keep on talking about it. Well, look
Mhm.
what happened to me. Look 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 what happened. I was in a car accident in September. It's what happened. Like, that sucks. It's what happened. What can I learn from that? Don't do this. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's what happened.
Yeah.
It's not going to define me. Being an identical twin. Well, my first memory is my mother coming in and she picked up Lawrence over me.
Oh,
So for a long time, my story was, what about Gregory? What about Gregory? What about Gregory?
huh.
Well, what about me? Here I am. And my mother loved me. She just reached for him first.
Yeah. Well, he's probably making more noise at the time.
He is. You know what I'm saying? It's just what happened.
Yeah.
And I don't wanna be defined by what happened.
Mhm. Well, we walk around being identified and defined by our labels until we meet people, do the work on ourselves, and learn that we are divine beings having a human experience. And that experience has a lot of different roles that we play while we're here on the planet because we chose to be here now, as crazy as the times are that we're in. We did sign up for this, and that's important to remember that we have a responsibility to play our roles and do the best we can in these bodies that we have. And I want to start way over because I want to talk about how we met. And I want to take this on two different perspectives. So would you like to go first on how we met and then I'll give you my take on it?
Lawrence and I were walking on the beach in Maui, Kaanapali Beach, by the Sheraton Maui, Black Rock, which we had sprinkled our mother's ashes off that. So we always spend the days at the beach there. We walked to the Sheraton and then we walk toward the beginning of Lahaina. And at this moment on this day, we looked in the waves and we saw you and your twins playing in the water. And we saw that you had twins. And then I think we summoned you over and went, wait, we're twins too,
Mhm.
and connected, and then connected again on the beach, and then had an amazing dinner with your beautiful family. And I sat next to Doc, your husband.
Mhm.
It was a very, very, very special evening for me with all of you. However, it was great to really connect with your husband in a very intimate way for me. I really just love getting real with another man.
Yeah.
And here we later.
And here we are. Well, so my side of the story is yes, we're in the water. It was our first trip to Hawaii. And Black Rock is where I run to because we usually stay at the Westin, and I just love running up and down the whole boardwalk there. But the twins are in the ocean. I'm kinda looking at the beach and I look again. First of all, I saw 2 gorgeous men, and then I had to look again, and I'm like, "Are you guys twins?" And then so that wasn't necessarily a summons, but you took it as one because then you guys look, as a fact, "Yes, we are." And then it turns out your birthdays are really close to my twins' birthdays, and your birthday is on my late father's birthday. And so we had all these wonderful connections. And then, yeah, we had 2 dinners, but the one that I loved also when you connected with Rick is randomly Noah was going to get his driver's permit, I think soon. And one of you asked, "What's your favorite car?" And he's like, "A Mustang convertible." And then you bang the keys on the table because that was the car that you guys had unbeknownst to us, and you took them for a spin. So that was really cool, and, yeah, we've been friends ever since. But that moment, that connection of the look and then the look, and it's like I'd never seen adult male identical twins in my life. So, back to the novelty act. Yeah, so, all right.
Can I just say
Yeah.
one thing? To this day, I still occasionally send your son a text that just says "Red Mustang." Um, and your photo's on my bulletin board. The family.
We have yeah, it's on our fridge. You guys are special in our lives. Gregory Zarian, in this moment, what is bringing you joy?
Talking to you, uh,
And?
my puppy, my husband, my curiosity.
Mm.
Something I was in Egypt, and there was a moment where we were walking up the Nile, and, we were on a dahabeeyah, beautiful boat, 5 days. When you see the movie, Death on the Nile, the current the oldest one and then the current one, you see this gorgeous banks, and you see these tombs carved into the mountains and, into the banks, and at this moment on this day, I was walking back to our tour group, and there was a gust of wind, the Nile was here, and the reeds were billowing in the breeze, and I stopped, and I felt like this, and I felt something. And I thought, oh, it's the ancients 4,000 years prior to us. And it was a defining moment. And I thought, let it go, let it go. And I have really held on to that as I'm talking about. That's what happened, these stories with people. And I don't want to hang on to shit. And talking to you has inspired me to be like, wow, there's more shit to let go of. I'm letting go of things, like physical things. Like I am giving away boxes and boxes of things that I don't need, I don't use. I have a great art box that I used to make ornaments with. I want to take them to a school.
Mhm.
There's tall tubs of glitter in there,
Yeah.
markers and boxes of Sharpies, like,
They'd be
you know,
lucky to get it. I'm so glad you brought up Egypt because it's calling to me, and I was just listening to something this morning, meditating with this really cool Egyptian music, this guided meditation I'm happy to share with you. But so many people come back with these profound experiences, and in the moment that you're describing, it happens just like that with a gust of wind or a drop in. And I don't have it on today, but I wear it every day, and when you've seen me, I have it on, this intention stick necklace that I wear, and I'm going to get you one because there's pieces of paper that you put inside. There's 22 pieces of paper, and you decide what your intentions are. And you wear in yoga, intention, you seal it at your heart. So it hangs near your heart. You can change the papers. You don't have to change the papers, but one of them is a piece of paper that says be/let it be. And it's something that you wear to remind you of what you already have that you're grateful for, or something that you want to work on or call in. And so I think it'd be a really nice tool for you. Plus, it's wrapped with a tree of life. It's gorgeous, but it's a really meaningful piece of jewelry to me. And it really does help me remind myself of my intentions and a mantra, whatever you want to say. But I know your trip got cut short, but is there any other thing you want to share about your experience on that trip, whether you yourself or you and John together, any other magic?
what's so fascinating about Egypt is these amazing tombs were buried by the floods and sandstorms,
Mhm.
and everything was preserved for, up to 4,000 years. Like, we don't know anything.
Mm.
There are mummies that were preserved thousands of years old. And how did they stand these obelisks up? We have
I mean,
cranes and
how did the
uh,
pyramids get made? There's so many theories on. I was just watching the Ten Commandments, by the way. I have to do it every
oh,
Passover.
they just Moses. And that's
But like, the obelisk went up because all the slaves, put it up. Yeah, it's fascinating how mechanically and the engineering alone,
my God.
I can't even.
Pompeii. We were in Pompeii a couple years ago. Just their water system, their routing system. Their form of the alphabet is hieroglyphics,
Mhm,
and every symbol means something. Bees were pollinating into the lilies. This gorgeous, I'll text it to you.
mm,
This gorgeous hieroglyphic of the bee and the lily pollinating life. When the
mhm,
scarab meant long, healthy life. I thought a scarab meant something evil because when you open up the mummy's tomb in all these
mm.
movies, scarabs run out. I'm like, oh, it means they want it. And then we have this life, but the Egyptians lived for the afterlife.
Yeah.
Like their mission was, we are so here for such a short time, but the important part is what we're going to do. And I think there's something to it.
Oh, for sure.
Right before I die, I'm going to get that light. Well, why don't we live to see the light now? Whatever that light
Well,
is, that great awakening.
yeah, we are, and we can, and we do, and we're meant to. We're learning how to more and more, and it's practice also, but also just knowing that we are beings of light, regardless of if you meditate or not, whatever you define that as. So it's interesting the way you just described the scarab. And this is also going to come full circle. I just wrote this because I'm writing a book, but there's a great quote by Wayne Dyer, and I'm going to screw it up,
Well,
but when you shift the way you look at things, the way you look at things change. So you went to Egypt thinking that beetles meant death, let's say, and then you learned otherwise. Now, you still have a choice. You can say, oh, I don't believe that, or I don't believe that. What you choose to believe is what you choose to believe. And that's what we do with people. If we choose to see the best in others, that's what we're going to get back. If we choose to see disgusting, evil crap, not because it's not there, we're going to get more of that. So, our job while we're here, in my opinion, is to remember we have choices all of the time. And it doesn't mean we're sticking our head in the sand and letting life go by. It's life is happening. And how do we take the reins of more positivity while it's happening and inspire others to do the same and just reframe their perspective about what a gay person is, what somebody from another country is or another color is. That's our job, is to reframe the definitions, whether it's from our upbringing or our experience, and just make them better and lighter and more joyful.
And I completely agree. A friend of mine was just struggling about work being tough, and he was struggling and just kind of miserable. And I just said, "Hey, Michael, instead of driving to work the same way, drive a different way." Here's
Mhm.
what he meant. I said, "Mix it up." In Feng Shui, change the energy in your life by moving 27 odd objects. Even on my desk, it's changing the flow of energy. If you
Yeah.
want something different, do something different. It's a lot easier. I mean, listen, I had drive myself through hell, and it could have just been like, "Oh, that was easy." Because when something shifts, you're like, "Oh," you know what I'm saying? Like, look what I want. And to get to it, you have to go through it,
Yeah.
whatever that it is. Everything is an experience, truly. And I'm grateful we've done a lot of adventuring. I'll
Mhm.
never forget that. I had videotaped it. The water, the reeds, that moment. And then it's also sheer gratitude. Not everyone's going to end up going to Egypt.
Mm-mm.
With my broken leg, I was this close to not going. Changed my
Yeah.
life.
Change your life. And the way we change our lives also, like you said, you don't have to move things around, 27 things around. It's as simple as taking a different route to work. I remind my clients too, it's the vocabulary, not only we speak outwardly, but of course inside, but just that little shift of get to versus have to. I get
Sure.
to go to work is very different than I have to go to work.
I need to. I want to. I choose
Well,
to.
right. So we're speaking the same language. All right. Before we end our time, I have two questions. Is there anything that we missed that you want to add on? And if you were asked what others would say is your superpower, what do you think other people would say is your superpower?
My superpower is that I'm just a really nice guy. I really am. Like, my dad gave me a compliment years ago, and he said, "You are so nice. You say hi to the Walking Dead." And I went, I do. I love it. I love asking anybody and everybody how they are. How are you?
Mhm. And you're
Like, I don't,
sincere.
it means something to me. There was a young
Yeah.
lady that I spoke to during COVID, and I asked her, "How are you?" And she said, "I'm fine." And I said, "How are you?" And she started sobbing. And I said, "What happened?" She said, "My boyfriend died 2 weeks ago from
Mm.
COVID." Just by me asking, "How are you?" So my invitation to anybody that is going to pay attention to us, just ask someone how they are. How are you? How is your day? You may never see that person again, and you made an impact on their day. Last thing is, two things. Once again, you are not alone if you or someone you love is struggling from any type of addiction: sex, alcohol, food, drugs, lying. Lying is an addiction, stealing, all of that. Reach out to me, Google smoking recovery. I was a smoker for 20 years, 2 packs a day for 20 years. The hardest vice I've ever given up,
I love that you post your anniversaries every year too. It's important that other people get inspired by that.
because you're not alone, and we are all
Mhm.
part of, we are misfits on the island of misfit toys. And one person turns into two, and there was someone out there willing to take your hand. And here's my last question. What inspired you to create this conversation for the people in your life and or the people that are seeing you in this platform
You mean my conversation with you or in general with the podcast?
in general?
In general,
Tell us
my
about
whole in
your
yeah, no, my whole intention with this podcast, the reason I ask my guests, what brings them joy is my mission is to cultivate and help people cultivate more joy in their day. And we forget that joy is a birthright, like love, and it's a muscle that we need to exercise like any other muscle. And we walk around thinking joy is frivolous. There's so many more important things. But when we make more room for joy by pausing and just noticing what is bringing us joy in that moment. It's a practice, it's an exercise, it builds that muscle. The main reason I started this podcast is I, like you, am very curious. And I feel like if I want to talk about something, one other person, just one other person, might be interested in it. And it's my way of connecting dots between the people that I want to talk to and learn from, and anybody else out there that is resonating with the conversation that then feels seen, heard, understood, and they're just a dot on a beautiful, huge dot matrix world. That's why I do it.
I love that. Thank you for inviting me in.
Well, thank you for agreeing to be here and having time to be here. I really appreciate, love, and adore you. And I will make sure everything we discussed that is clickable and usable will go in my show notes. And I know there's so many facets about your life that is so fascinating that we didn't touch on, but None of that really matters because I agree that your superpower is you're a hell of a nice guy and you are everything about coming from your heart with intention and integrity. And everything you do just shines through with that. So thank you for being a model of that.
Thank you. Can I just say one last thing that popped into my
Of course.
I had a cup of coffee with a friend of mine, and she has a little bit of a dance with her dad. Ask your parents questions. Hey, what were you like with your mom and your dad? Ask your parents questions. Get to know them. There is such grace that I've given my parents because with both of them being passed, there's not one thing I missed.
Mm,
A lot of people can't say that. Well, ask them questions. Talk to them. Hey, what's it like being the mom of this? What's it like? How was it with your parents? Because the more you ask, the more grace from both of you. Because most people don't ask their parents questions.
well,
Most people, hey, what was it like? And it popped into my head and I miss my parents and there's nothing that I miss.
yeah, it's just acknowledging your parents are humans too, is
Sure.
what I'm hearing. And they cry. You know, the first time I saw my mom cry, I thought she was broken. I was freaked out. Never saw her cry before. I was little. But they have emotions, they have hopes, they have dreams. They want to talk about themselves. Even if you're raised in a house, you guys that, only speak when spoken to, find a way to ask a question. And if you can't get the answer from your parents, like mine are on the other side as well, maybe there's brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends that you can ask and just fill in some holes. And you can also have conversations with them anyway, because they do answer if you're able to listen and believe in that. And they want to answer, they want to come through and play with you from the other side too. So they're always with you.
I love that.
Yeah. All right. Gregory Zarian, my love, my friend. Thank you so much for being with me on The Real and the Woo.